Hi everyone, what's up? Welcome back. Today I'm really excited to review the latest Coffeetech DF64V Coffee Grinder. Now, a word of transparency, and I want to emphasize here that the grinder that I'm reviewing today is a pre-shipment model. However, I am confident that the final product will meet or even exceed your expectations. And as always, I'm really here to help you with your research, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have prior to purchase decisions. Definitely go ahead and subscribe to our channel, as this will help our channel grow and to bring more exciting coffee content for future videos. And with that, let's now jump into the video review of the DF64V. The Coffeetech DF64V features some unique designs that are a little different to all other versions of the DF grinder range. Beginning with the inbuilt anti-popcorn funnel. This sits inside the chute and is attached via an O-ring, and you'll be able to use this grinder with or without the bellows system. Changing the grind is done by adjusting the hopper chute, and you'll be adjusting the burr position and rotating the chamber itself. Now, the grind setting indicator is static. Though this ring is locked, it can be adjusted independently for calibration purposes. The grinder chute, this now comes apart in two pieces and is connected to the body of the grinder via strong magnets. It's incredibly quick to clean out this chute and also doubles as a knocker when evacuating any retention. And it gathers unwanted chaff when dosing. The grinder operates from a smooth push button on one side of the grinder, and then you can choose between a variable speed for the burrs from 600 all the way up to 1800 RPMs from a rotary knob on the other side. This being the biggest draw card of this grinder, it uses a 300 watt brushless motor and is incredibly silent. The one other impressive addition to the DF64V is it comes standard using diamond-like coating, aka DLC, 64mm flat burrs. And it teases us with a good set of burrs to begin with, but as us coffee nerds know, 64mm is all the rage, with having numerous styles of this size of flat burr to swap in and change out of, really depending on your brewing preferences. Last to mention on the features before we move to the actual performance is the grinds cup. This sits independently from the grinder on a wooden riser, and the cup itself is a 58mm dosing cup, which will transfer grinds easily into any filter basket. The grind adjustment scale begins at 0 and wraps all the way around to 90 anti-clockwise. And as an all-purpose grinder, it will grind for all brewing methods, from Turkish coffee, to espresso brewing, to mocha pot, to a fine filter grind that you would use for, say, an AeroPress or a single V60, to larger pour-overs, then mocha master and other batch brews, to French press, then cold brewing. A significant performance factor that's already been mentioned is how incredibly silent this grinder is. Let me just run it now without any beans in it. Yeah, so silent. And there's barely any vibration running through the base of this grinder. Let's now go ahead and grab a 20-gram dose of beans. I've placed it on an espresso setting and see how it goes. Now for speed, there being an additional component that we have control over, adjusting the RPMs will also speed up or slow down the grinding time. Now for reference, the majority of 64mm flat burr grinders, these run at around 1200 to 1500 RPMs. So why don't we just do that now? We're gonna run one dose at 1400 RPMs, at another dose at 600 RPMs, and just see the difference on grinding time. Also, it's really interesting to see how lower RPMs can impact the quality of the ground coffee as well. That was 1400 RPMs and pretty quick. a little bit longer. Super quiet. There we go. Yeah, right. Lower RPMs in a coffee grinder can improve the consistency and the particle size distribution of ground coffee in several ways. Firstly, lower RPMs do generate less heat during the grinding process. So you'll have an improved efficiency with the motor and better performance with the burrs. Secondly, lower RPMs reduce static electricity, preventing grounds from clumping together, though this might be offset by an increased time at grinding. And then lastly, and perhaps the most critical component of all of this, is that it can result in a more uniform particle size distribution, which then ensures consistent uniform grind sizes for improved even extraction during brewing. But I mean, you can take all of that into account. It's also noteworthy that changing RPMs can lead to a complete bewilderment, as honestly, RPMs do make a notable change, but it's not always clear cut that slower is going to be better. So what I'm interested in doing today is I'm going to dial in an espresso using 1000 RPMs and then compare this to an espresso where I've used 600 RPMs and then 1400 RPMs and explain to you the flavor differences between each of those three espressos. Stay with me and I'll be straight back. All right, something that just happened that I didn't expect to happen. See, I'm rolling up my sleeves ready to taste the espressos. Was when I made all the espressos, so I'm about to taste same coffee, same grinder, same grind setting, and we ran it at 600 RPMs, 1000 RPMs, and 1400 RPMs. All the espressos ran identically. Now I guess like, I'll talk openly about my bias or my perceived bias. I figured that because of the different quality to the grinds, because of the different RPMs, well, let's backtrack that. Because of the different RPMs, there will be different qualities to the grinds, thus different flow rates to the espressos. And so far, I did not see that in making the espressos. I figured if I saw it in the espressos, then I will definitely taste it in the espressos. Now I'm at a point here where I didn't see it in the espressos, so fingers crossed, I taste it in the espressos. I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm in for. Let's just do this. Really curious to see this. Oh, and it's delicious. Now, it's much easier when you can compare things. Like I taste this as it is, and it's just like, sure, I'm like, okay, that's an espresso that tastes like this. It's nice, there's some acidity, there's a little bit of body, it's quite clean. Let's go with the comparison. Sweeter than this one. That's the main comparison between these two right now. This one is a little broken up. Like I mentioned, there is like nice sweetness, there is some acidity, there's a hint of body, but it all feels like the flavors are broken up, or the attributes to the coffee over the tongue are all kind of broken up. Whereas this is a little bit more, not complex, it's a little bit more together. Everything's placed together harmoniously. So you would call that, I guess, a balanced cup. This is more balanced than this one with more sweetness. It's interesting, okay? Last one, okay? This definitely is the richer of the three. When I say richer, it's just definitely more rounded, more, I don't want to use the word heavy. It's not unpleasant, it's just, it has more rounded notes, not as much sweetness. This is definitely, I guess, the stand-up cup, the middle one. This one is very enjoyable. Like, it's very creamy, rich, sweet, kind of dark, plum, caramelly kind of flavors. This is a lot more fruitier and sweeter. And this would be my least favorite of the three, just because the flavors were broken up. When this is round, it's nice and round and balanced. This is unbalanced in a way. Woo, that's cool. That's really interesting that there's three distinct flavor profiles here that I'm dealing with. And look, it's not really up to me to try and guess these at all. I was just really curious how it will make the coffee taste. I wanted to do it as a blind tasting, so I didn't really go in with too much bias, but 600, 1000, 1400. Let's see how I go. Oh, okay, there you go. I was completely wrong. This was the 1400. So my favorite cup was the 1400. I said this was going to be the 1000. This is indeed the 1000. And my least favorite cup was the 600. That just confuses everything. That's literally backwards. That's flipped up what I figured and what I've been saying this whole video, lower RPMs is going to improve the flavor of your coffee. Is it? Well, it might not. It just depends on the coffee. Depends on the coffee. It depends how you brew with it. And I think that's the takeaway here is really I guess lower RPMs has a difference, whether it will work for this coffee or a different coffee. Let's talk filter coffee. Possibly it will work better with filter coffee. That's a whole nother ball game when it comes to brewing, or it comes to grinding and brewing. But the takeaway from all of this, although it completely flipped me on my head thinking the lower RPMs was going to be the better tasting cup, the takeaway from all this is lower RPM, different RPMs has different flavor profiles, which is just, I mean, pretty crazy when you think you have what? You have 600 to 1800. So that's 1200, 12 different flavor profiles within the flavor profile of this burr set. Things can get real confusing real quickly. That's for sure. Let's talk about cons. While the grinder does have several strengths, there are some limitations to it that need to be considered, even in the hope that these or some of these might get rectified in newer versions. First, it's important to note that this grinder must be used with the RTD bottle that's included in the box to prevent static, especially when grinding for filter coffee at coarser settings. Now, there is some static that's going to be built up in the chute, and this is okay as I guess it removes the chaff from the dose, but otherwise without using the RTD bottle, it can get pretty hairy. Now additionally, there is no portafilter rest to this grinder, which means you're always transferring the grounds into the cup, which may not be convenient for everyone. Another potential limitation is the grind dial. At coarser settings, this becomes set behind the hopper, which can make it more difficult to follow and adjust. And finally, some users have reported the grinder stalling at 600 RPMs when grinding. Now, this is usually when using lighter roasted coffees, and overall, anything above 600 hasn't prevented any issues. But there's also that additional challenge that comes when you've got variable RPMs thrown into the mix of all the other variables with espresso brewing. It can take away from the enjoyment of making a delicious cup of coffee. So I guess buying a variable speed grinder comes with a little bit of a warning that changing your RPMs isn't for everyone. It really isn't. And it's more of like that deep dive or next level kind of coffee brewing. Let's talk cleaning. So to clean and pull apart this grinder, once it is unplugged, you need to remove the bellows, the popcorn funnel, both grind chutes, then unscrew the hopper, followed by the grind dial collar. And then from here, you'll be able to lift up that upper burr carrier sitting on the wave spring. And then you can also unscrew both burrs from the burr carriers and have full access to the grinds chamber to whatever you need to do. So that's vacuuming, cleaning out, replacing the burrs. Once it's all done, you can replace everything back in the same way that you had it, and this grinder is going to be performing well for you for many years to come. In summary, the DF64V is an exceptional grinder that has many strengths and is well priced to compete against other notable variable speed grinders. And I guess I'd like to talk more on comparisons against other grinders, but it's really only going to be effective in comparing it against other variable speed grinders. And I can think of two others that come to mind, so stay tuned for that video. Now, it has quiet operation, adjustable RPMs, and high quality burrs, which kind of places it in that top contender in the market with these unique features. It also has an attractive price point and is a solid build. Thank you for watching the review of the DF64V grinder. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like and comment, and also subscribe to our channel for more coffee related content. I'd love to hear your experiences also with the DF64V or other variable speed grinders. Add them in the comments section down below. And don't forget to visit our website and social media channels for more reviews, guides, and coffee related content. Thanks again for watching to the end of this video, and we'll see you in the next one.